Welcome to our Network Cabling and Digital Infrastructure Employer Set Project overview of the Chief Examiner's Report. Now we're going to look at some key findings from the Chief Examiner's Report for the Network Cabling and Digital Infrastructure ESP from Summer 2023 series. Now, please remember that the information provided here is based on data available as of September 23 and may not reflect future changes to guidance documents. Always refer to the most up-to-date guidance available. Now, this is the third series that students have been able to undertake the Employer Set project for this qualification. This section will be split into three, looking at the standards of student work, an overview of the evidence created, and then student responses to the external assessment tasks. So we'll just cover an overview from the Chief Examiner of the standards of students' work coming up. Now, learners' performance varied significantly across the various tasks, resulting in a diverse distribution of grades. Stronger students demonstrated excellent responses, particularly in Task 1 and 3, which focused on applying knowledge and required higher order skills. These tasks proved more challenging for students, and there were clear distinctions between those who grasped the concepts of those who did not. While most students were able to communicate effectively during these interviews, many struggled to deviate from the preferred scripts and missed opportunities to ask any follow-up questions. And the email task revealed that many students needed more practice effectively communicating with technical and non-technical audiences and applying an analytical thinking. Furthermore, many students needed to improve in applying a logical approach to problem solving, which was evident in Task 1 and 3. Weaker students found it challenging to evaluate how well the outcomes aligned with the given brief, as they needed to have the necessary approach and structure to maximise the marks. It's important to note that learners unnecessarily lost marks for English and math skills across all the ability levels. Therefore, it's crucial to emphasise the importance of proofreading and encouraging students to develop the habit of thoroughly reviewing the work. Okay then, so we'll look at the evidence created now. So most providers submitted evidence well, making it easy to review. The audio files and documents were in a standard format, so that was usually MP3 or a PDF, ensuring compatibility. The WAV audio file format is discouraged as its playback proved to be problematic. Unfortunately, hyperlinks provided by learners within documents did not work, as all evidence is scanned, which removed the links. And on occasion, some evidence was accidentally not submitted by providers, causing a delay in the assessment. Okay, this final section, we're going to cover an overview of how the students responded to the ESP. So it was reported that this task was approached quite poorly by learners. A majority produced effective test plans, and a good proportion did not consider the supply control documents pointed out issues. Providers have focused on problem-solving techniques and still need to cover the technical skills to identify the problems. Some students recognised the importance of rank and moved the DNY server down before the VPN service. Others turned off the service, which was also created as a possible solution. Good responses also included changing the external port numbers to more appropriate ports. Some students recognised that the point-to-point tunneling protocol needs to be updated to be more to a more secure protocol. Now, this task 10 tested students' understanding of troubleshooting using a logical process involving relevant steps to identify network faults. Some students need to understand the requirements to resolve all faults and stop working after making just a single recommendation. Now, most students understood how to structure the test plan, but needed help to describe the logical sequence of the relevant tests required to resolve the network faults. Some students didn't understand the need to run tests to verify that they had rectified the faults. Now, most students demonstrated reasonable communication techniques by employing a series of well-constructed questions to gather the required information. However, around 1/10 of students received a Band 1 mark, mainly due to their inflexibility to their pre-planned questions, which caused them to miss opportunities for follow-up questions or active listening. Providers approached this task with considerable inconsistencies, ranging from offering answers that were not requested to reading directly from the provided material. The interviews were most successful when providers paraphrased the information and made the experience feel more realistic. These providers gave student answers based on the provided material or logically derived instead of simply stating, I don't have that information. Some providers were unhelpful to students and didn't give them the information or very close responses such as no. One response to the question, what appears to be the issue with your network, was, it doesn't work. The learner then followed up with, what do you want from the network? And the teacher responded, for it to work. This response was not helpful to students. Another centre fabricated pure sort of fantasy. For example, they run Windows 13 on devices through a special arrangement with Microsoft. When questioned about the VPN protocols, they responded, confidentially, you need to sign an NDA. The same centre stated a strong requirement of 200,000 terabytes to one student and then 10 terabytes per day to another in a budget of £200,000. The quality of the recordings is the provider's responsibility, and everything should be done to ensure that students' voices can be heard. This was not the case with some centres. On one occasion, noise-cancelling headphones were used to cancel out the learner's voice, making it very difficult to access. One centre submitted one long audio file for all candidates, making the assessment tedious. This inconsistency between the centres does not offer students similarities in assessments across the country. Now, while many students adapted their communication styles to suit both audiences, the efforts remained superficial. There needed to be more technical terminology in responses. To achieve higher grades in this task, students must demonstrate excellent application of analytical thinking and problem-solving skills when addressing scenario-based problems. Unfortunately, such proficiency was lacking in most of the evidence, indicating an area for improvement across the entire cohort. Approximately 30% of students scored in Band 1 for this task. Now, this task enables students to demonstrate their understanding of the issues presented in the scenario and provided a resolution. It covers the current problems potential solutions, network hardware, software, services, and associated cybersecurity evaluations. So many proposals were brief and needed more detail and justification. Only a few learners assessed beyond the lower two bands due to this. Some learners produced potentially good solutions, but needed more explanation of the choices of how the components specified would fit together. Some students needed to understand the detail required to achieve higher marks and submitted insufficient evidence of only 1 to 2 pages, which should have covered the task scope. Approximately 1/10 of students achieved 15 to 19 marks. Students frequently duplicated resources, such as purchasing multiple costly servers, while recommending a complete cloud solution. While hybrid networks are valid, care is needed when describing the purpose of each component. Network diagrams often needed more detail to earn higher marks. It was essential to include all relevant elements, such as VPN, servers, cloud resources, and PCs, clearly identified within the diagrams. Strong responses outline cloud services, address cybersecurity issues, and provided detailed descriptions of all required hardware and software, consistently referencing the scenario's requirements throughout their evidence. Now, the task 3 math skills, students should showcase their numeracy skills within their proposal. Slightly over 1/3 of students scored 1 mark, falling short of the maximum 2 due to minor inaccuracies in the calculations. Some students just listed prices, sometimes in dollars, without providing any calculations, resulting in a score of 0. Strong responses encompassed a table that included cloud services, hardware, and software costs. They also identified quantities when relevant, indicated whether the expenses were a one-off or monthly, had subtotals, and provided an overall total. Applying addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division operations was often sufficient to earn full marks, and this is a crucial area for students to develop in. So some good surveys, but often missing all elements as outlined in the indicative content. And a small majority of learners provided a link. Electronic surveys are excellent practice and to be expected, and we need more than a link. They need to include a print of their survey. Notably, some students overlook the survey's purpose and focus solely on the company and their network upgrade and disregarding the end user's perspective. Strong responses featured well-structured and good questions, employing a variety of question types to gather qualitative and quantitative data, with questions formulated using clear and a concise language. Most students needed help to evaluate their performance, often falling back to quite descriptive language rather than evaluative. Significantly, only some students related their solution to the initial problem and made judgments on how well or not it met the outline. So task 2, 3 and 4 English skills. Some students needlessly lost marks in this category due to spelling, punctuation and grammar errors in task 1, 2 and 4. Students must develop the habit of thoroughly proofreading the work. Thank you for watching. We wish you success in the network cabling and data infrastructure employer set project.